Why do some people respect you less the harder you try to earn it? Because when you overexplain, overgive, and overperform, you may be teaching them that their approval is more important than your self-respect. This is the story of a man who wanted to be respected by everyone, until an old Stoic showed him why people had stopped taking him seriously. In this story, you will see why kindness without boundaries becomes weakness. Why explaining yourself too much can make people respect you less. Why saying yes from fear trains others to use you. And why true respect begins the moment you stop betraying yourself just to be liked. As you listen, ask yourself one question. Where in my own life am I trying too hard to be accepted? If that question touches something honest in you, comment the word respect. Not because a comment changes your life, but because naming the problem is often where self-respect begins. The man's name was Darius. He lived near the edge of a Roman market city, in a narrow street where merchants shouted before sunrise and oil lamps burned late into the night. Darius worked in a small records office beside the public square. By sunrise, people were already asking for him. A merchant pushed extra tablets onto his desk. "Only you can finish these before sunset," the man said. Darius looked at his own unfinished work. He wanted to say no. Instead, he smiled. "Of course, leave them here." Later, a neighbor returned a borrowed tool with the handle cracked. Darius noticed the damage. The neighbor noticed that Darius noticed. Neither man spoke of it. Darius only said, "It is fine." By evening, a group of young men near the fountain laughed as he passed. "There goes the city's most useful man," one of them said. "Useful," another added, "because he never refuses." Darius smiled with them. But the smile did not reach his eyes. That was the shape of his life. People called him kind, but treated him like property. They praised his patience, but depended on his fear. They said he was easy to talk to, but what they really meant was easier to move. Darius believed this was how a good man earned respect. Be useful. Be agreeable. Never offend. Never disappoint. Never make people uncomfortable. But the strange thing was this. The more Darius tried to be liked, the less people seemed to value him. A woman he admired once told him, "You are very kind, Darius." But she said it with the same tone one uses for something safe. Harmless. Available. Not strong. Not chosen. That night he lay awake under a thin blanket, listening to rain strike the clay roof. He asked himself why people did not respect him. He had done everything right. He had been pleasant. He had been generous. He had avoided conflict. He had helped everyone. Was that not what good people did? The next morning, he decided he would try harder. That is often where weakness hides. Not in giving up, but in trying harder at the very thing that is destroying you. Darius became more available. He stayed late at the records office. He accepted work that belonged to others. He carried messages for men who could easily carry them themselves. He laughed louder at jokes made at his expense. He explained every decision, every boundary, every delay, every tired look on his face. If he said no, he quickly turned it into maybe. If he said maybe, he quickly turned it into yes. And if someone looked disappointed, he felt guilty until he gave in. People noticed, but not in the way he hoped. They did not respect him more. They used him more. One afternoon, Cashin threw a stack of tablets onto Darius's desk. The wax seals were broken. The work was messy. The deadline was unfair. Darius looked at the pile and said, "I already have my own ledgers to finish before sunset." Cashin smiled. It was not a kind smile. It was the smile of a man who had already learned the answer before asking the question. "You are better at these things than I am," he said. "Besides, you always manage." Darius opened his mouth to refuse. Then he imagined Cashin's face hardening. He imagined the office becoming tense. He imagined being called selfish. So he nodded. "Of course. I will do what I can." Cashin clapped him on the shoulder. "That is why everyone likes you, Darius." But when Cashin walked away, he laughed with another clerk. Darius heard it. Not every word. Enough. He felt something twist inside him. That evening, he stayed so late the lamps burned low, and the market outside had gone quiet. His hand cramped from carving letters into wax. His eyes hurt. His back ached. When he finally walked home, rainwater ran along the stones in the street. Near the fountain, he saw a small group of men drinking beneath an awning. Cashin was there. One of them called out, "There he is, the city's most obedient man." Another said, "Careful, if you ask politely, he may carry you home." They laughed. Darius smiled. He always smiled. But this time, the smile felt like a mask nailed to his face. He went home with wet sandals, an empty stomach, and a thought he could not escape. Why do they laugh at me when I only try to help? The next day, he took the long way to work through the old stone portico near the east gate. It was quieter there. Broken columns stood like tired giants. Vines crept across marble. A few old men sometimes gathered there to talk about law, war, death, politics, and the gods. Darius usually avoided them. Their conversations felt too sharp, too direct. But that morning, one of them spoke as he passed. "You look like a man who pays people to disrespect him." Darius stopped. The speaker was an older man seated on a low stone bench. His beard was white and short. His cloak was plain. His eyes were calm in a way that made Darius uncomfortable. "I am sorry," Darius said. The old man looked at him. "You heard me." Darius frowned. "I do not pay anyone to disrespect me." "No," the old man asked. "Then why do you keep buying their approval with your peace?" Darius felt heat rise in his face. "I do not know what you mean." The old man gestured to the bench. "Then sit, and we will find out whether that is true." Darius should have kept walking. He was already late. He had work to do. People expected him. But something in the old man's voice made excuses feel weak. So he sat. The old man introduced himself as Lucius. He had once taught rhetoric to sons of wealthy families, but age had made him less interested in clever speech and more interested in honest living. Some called him a Stoic. Lucius seemed uninterested in the title. "Tell me, Darius," he said, "why do you look so tired?" Darius almost answered automatically. "I am fine." Lucius raised one hand. "Do not offer me the words you give everyone else. They are too polished to be true." Darius looked down. "I am tired because people take advantage of me." Lucius nodded. "And why do they take advantage of you?" "Because they are selfish." "Some are," Lucius said. "But that is not the whole answer." Darius looked up. "What is the whole answer?" Lucius leaned forward. Because you keep teaching them that there is no cost. Those words landed harder than any insult. Darius wanted to argue, but he could not find the words. Lucius continued. When a man asks too much and you give it from fear, you teach him to ask again. When a man mocks you and you laugh to be accepted, you teach him the insult is safe. When a man crosses your boundary and you explain until your boundary becomes a negotiation, you teach him that your no is only a tired yes. Darius looked away. I am only trying to keep peace. Lucius shook his head. No, you are trying to avoid discomfort. That is not the same as peace. There it was. The first blade. Not shouted, not cruel, but sharp enough to open something. Lucius asked, do you know why some people respect you less the harder you try? Darius said nothing. Because effort given from fear has a smell, Lucius said. People may not name it, but they sense it. They sense when your kindness is not free. They sense when your yes is a plea. They sense when your explanation is begging them not to think badly of you. They sense when you need their approval more than you trust your own judgment. And some people, when they sense this, become gentle. Others become hungry. Darius felt the old anger rise. So I should become harsh? No, Lucius said. That is the mistake of weak men who have been used too long. They swing from doormat to tyrant and call it strength. Strength is cleaner. Strength is the ability to be kind without being owned. The two men sat in silence. In the distance, the market began to roar with the morning crowd. Lucius pointed toward it. Go to work, but watch yourself today. Do not watch them first. Watch yourself. Notice every moment you are tempted to trade your dignity for approval. Then return tomorrow. Darius stood. I do not know if I can change. Lucius looked up at him. That is honest. Bring that honesty back with you. At the office, Darius tried to watch himself. At first it seemed simple. Then it became unbearable. He noticed how often he smiled when he was angry, how quickly he apologized, how carefully he shaped every sentence so no one could dislike him, how often he said, if it is not too much trouble, before asking for something that was already owed to him, how often he explained things that needed no explanation. Near midday, a clerk named Marcellus blamed Darius for a missing contract. Darius knew Marcellus had taken it the day before. He had seen him carry it away. But when Marcellus said, "You must have misplaced it," everyone looked at Darius. His mouth went dry. His old habit rose like a trained animal. Apologize. Soften. Explain. Keep the room calm. He began to speak. I am sorry, perhaps I may have. Then he stopped. He heard Lucius's words. Watch yourself. He looked at Marcellus and said, I did not misplace it. You took it yesterday after the noon bell. The room changed. Not loudly, but enough. Marcellus blinked. I did. Yes, Darius said. You placed it under the blue ledger. There was a pause. Another clerk found it there. Marcellus gave a small laugh. Ah, so I did. In the past, Darius would have smiled and said, no harm done. This time, he said nothing. He returned to his work. His hands trembled under the desk. No one applauded. No one called him brave. but something inside him stood a little straighter. That evening, he returned to the portico. Lucius was waiting. "You look disturbed," the old man said. "I told the truth today," Darius said. "And..." My hands shook. "Good. Good." "Yes, courage often shakes at first." Darius sat. "I thought strength would feel different." Lucius smiled faintly. "You thought strength would feel like confidence. Often it feels like fear with better posture." Darius almost laughed. Lucius picked up a small stone from the ground. "A boundary," he said, "is like this stone. It does not need to shout to be solid. But if you keep moving it every time someone presses against it, do not blame people for learning it can be moved." Darius looked at the stone. "I do not know how to set boundaries without feeling guilty." "That is because you have mistaken guilt for proof that you are doing wrong. Sometimes guilt is only the sound of an old habit losing power." Lucius handed him the stone. "Tomorrow you will practice one thing. Do not explain more than once." Darius frowned. "Only once. Once clearly. Once respectfully. Then stop." "But what if they misunderstand me?" Lucius leaned back. "Some people misunderstand because the truth is unclear. Others misunderstand because misunderstanding benefits them. Do not spend your life educating people who profit from your confusion." The next day, the test arrived quickly. Cassian came with another stack of tablets. "Darius, I need these copied by tonight." Darius looked at his own desk. His work was already full. "I cannot take those today." Cassian smiled. "It will only take you a few hours." "I cannot take those today," Darius repeated. Cassian's smile thinned. "Why not?" In the past, Darius would have opened the gates. He would have explained his workload, his fatigue, the deadlines, the unfairness, his desire to help, his regret, his hope that Cassian would not be offended. But Lucius had given him a small stone. A boundary does not need to shout to be solid. So Darius said, "My own work is full." That was it. Cassian waited. Darius felt the silence pulling at him. "Explain more," it whispered. "Make him comfortable. Prove you are not selfish." Darius looked down at the tablet in front of him and continued writing. Cassian scoffed. "You have changed." "Perhaps," Darius said. That was all. For the rest of the day, Cassian was cold. Darius hated it. He wanted to repair the air. He wanted to make a joke. He wanted to offer help later, just to prove he was still kind. But he did not. He worked. He went home tired but not ashamed. That difference mattered. The next evening, Lucius asked what he had learned. Darius said, "People do not like boundaries." Lucius replied, "People who benefited from your lack of boundaries will dislike them most." That does not mean your boundary is wrong. It means they enjoyed the old arrangement. Darius sat quietly. Then he asked, "How do I know if I am becoming selfish?" Lucius nodded, as if he had expected the question. A selfish man considers only himself. A spineless man considers everyone except himself. A just man considers both. Do not become selfish. Become just. Justice includes your own soul. This was new to Darius. He had always thought goodness meant putting himself last. Lucius saw the thought on his face. "You believe betraying yourself is virtue." It is not. A city whose walls are always open is not generous. It is conquered. Darius carried that sentence home like a burning coal. A city whose walls are always open is not generous. It is conquered. Days passed. The change was not dramatic. No thunder split the sky. No enemy bowed at his feet. No crowd gathered to praise his transformation. Most real change is quieter than that. Darius still felt the old urges. He still wanted to explain. He still wanted to soften every no. He still felt pain when someone seemed displeased. But he began to practice. When someone interrupted him, he finished his sentence. When someone made a joke at his expense, he did not laugh automatically. When a neighbor asked to borrow another tool after failing to return the last one, Darius said, "Not until the first is returned." The neighbor acted offended. Darius felt guilty. Then he remembered. Guilt is sometimes the sound of an old habit losing power. At work, people began to notice. Some did not like it. Cashin called him proud. Marcellus called him difficult. One clerk said Darius had become cold. That accusation bothered him most. Cold. Was he becoming cold? That night, he went to Lucius with a troubled face. "They say I am cold now." "Are you?" Lucius asked. "I do not think so." "Then why does it trouble you?" "Because I do not want to become hard." Lucius looked toward the darkening street. There is a difference between a locked heart and a guarded gate. A locked heart lets no one in. A guarded gate lets the right people in and keeps thieves outside. Which one are you building? Darius thought. A guarded gate, I hope. Then keep building. Do not let people who enjoyed your weakness define your strength. Darius was silent for a while. Then he asked, "Why does it hurt so much when they disapprove?" Lucius replied, "Because you trained your nervous system to survive on their approval. Now you are teaching it a new food. Self-respect. It will resist at first." That was exactly how it felt. Like a hunger. Like withdrawal. Darius realized he had not simply wanted respect. He had wanted relief. Relief from tension. Relief from conflict. Relief from the fear of being disliked. So he had paid for relief with pieces of himself. A favor here. A false apology there. A laugh at his own humiliation. A yes he did not mean. A silence he called peace. It had seemed small each time. But together, these small betrayals had built the life he now hated. Lucius gave him another practice. "Tomorrow," he said, "do not defend yourself against a foolish insult." Darius frowned. "Is that not weakness?" "Sometimes," Lucius said. "But often, defending yourself to fools is how you become their student. A fool insults you. You rush to prove them wrong. Now they lead and you follow. Their words become the leash." Darius did not like that image. A leash. The next day, the younger men at the fountain found him again. One called out, "Darius, who gave you permission to look serious?" Another said, "Careful, he may write a long explanation about it." They laughed. Darius felt the old sting. His body wanted to smile. His pride wanted to answer. His fear wanted to make peace. But he kept walking. One of them said, "Nothing to say." Darius stopped for a moment. He looked at the man, not with hatred, but with a strange calm he did not know he possessed. "No," he said. Then he walked on. Behind him, there was more laughter at first, then less. He could not explain why, but the insult felt smaller because he had not knelt to answer it. That evening, he told Lucius what happened. Lucius asked, "Did you feel strong?" "No," Darius said. "I felt angry, but I did not obey it." Lucius smiled. "Then you were stronger than your anger. Do not wait to feel majestic. Self-command often begins in irritation." This became the next lesson. Respect was not something Darius could force from others. It was something he could stop destroying in himself. He had spent years trying to manage every opinion. He had treated dislike like danger. He had believed that if someone misunderstood him, he had to fix it. If someone criticized him, he had to defend. If someone wanted more, he had to provide. If someone mocked him, he had to prove he was not offended. His life had become a court where everyone else sat as judge. Lucius taught him to leave the courtroom, not by hating people, not by becoming arrogant, but by accepting that no life can remain upright while bowing to every opinion. One morning, Lucius asked him to carry a jug of water from the fountain to the portico. Darius did. Then Lucius took the jug, poured half the water into the dust, and handed it back. "What are you doing?" Darius asked. "Showing you your life." Darius stared at him. Lucius pointed to the jug. "You fill yourself with work, rest, thought, prayer, food, discipline, and hope. Then every time someone wants your attention, your apology, your energy, your explanation, you pour yourself out. By evening, you are empty and call it kindness." Darius looked at the water spreading into the dirt. A man who is empty has little to give except resentment. This struck Darius deeply. He had felt resentment. Quietly, secretly, he had resented the people he kept helping, then felt guilty for resenting them. Lucius continued, "True generosity requires ownership. You cannot give what you do not first possess. If you do not possess your time, you cannot give time freely. If you do not possess your mind, you cannot give attention freely. If you do not possess your yes, it is not generosity. It is surrender." Darius whispered, "Then I have not been generous." "Sometimes you have," Lucius said. "But often you have been afraid." Darius wanted the old man to soften the truth. He did not. That was why Darius kept returning. A few weeks later, the largest test came. Cashin had made a serious error in a set of tax records. The mistake could cost him his position. Instead of admitting it, he came to Darius after sunset, when the office was nearly empty. "I need your help," Cashin said. His voice was different now. Not mocking. Urgent. Darius looked at the tablets. He understood quickly. "You want me to rewrite these, so it looks like the error was never there." Cashin glanced toward the door. "No one needs to know." Darius felt a familiar pressure. Not just fear of displeasing Cashin. Something deeper. The old need to be needed. The old hunger to become valuable by rescuing someone else. If he helped, Cashin would praise him. Maybe respect him. Maybe finally treat him as important. That temptation was dangerous because it looked like opportunity. Darius sat back. "No." Cashin's face hardened. "No. No. You would let me be ruined." "I am not ruining you," Darius said. "I am refusing to lie for you." Cashin stepped closer. After all I have done for you." Darius almost laughed. What had Cassian done for him? Used him, mocked him, handed him burdens, and called them favors. But people who use you often speak as if you owe them more. Darius said, "I will help you correct the record honestly. I will not hide it." Cassian's voice dropped. "You think you are better than me now?" Darius felt the room tighten. This was where the old Darius would explain. No, that is not what I mean. I only meant, please understand." But he had learned. One clear sentence. Then stop. So he said, "I will not lie for you." Cassian stared at him. Then he gathered the tablets and left. The next day, rumors moved through the office. Darius was arrogant. Darius had betrayed Cassian. Darius had become proud since spending time with the old philosopher. Some believed it. Some did not. Darius felt the old pain of being misunderstood. It burned in him all morning. At noon, he almost went from person to person explaining what had happened. But he stopped. There are times to speak. And there are times when explanation only feeds the fire. He had spoken truth where it mattered. The rest was noise. For the first time, Darius let the noise remain noise. That evening, he found Lucius under the portico. "I did the right thing," Darius said. "And I feel terrible." Lucius nodded. "That happens. I thought virtue would bring peace." "It does," Lucius said. "But sometimes peace arrives after the fever breaks. When you stop feeding old patterns, they do not die politely." Darius sat beside him. "People think I am proud." "Are you?" "No." "Then let them be wrong for a while." Darius turned to him. "How?" "By not making every false opinion your master." This was one of the hardest lessons. Not because it was complex. Because it was simple. Let them be wrong. Darius had spent his whole life unable to do that. If someone thought he was selfish, he rushed to prove generosity. If someone thought he was rude, he rushed to prove kindness. If someone thought he was weak, he rushed to prove strength. If someone thought he was proud, he rushed to prove humility. Every opinion pulled him like a hook. Lucius saw it clearly. "You are not free," he said, "if every misunderstanding demands your immediate labor." Darius breathed slowly. "Then what should I do when people judge me unfairly?" "Examine yourself first. If they are right, correct yourself. If they are wrong, continue. That is all. That is enough." It sounded too simple. But Darius had learned that the hardest truths often are. Over the next month, his life changed in ways that were visible and invisible. Visible changes came first. He left work closer to sunset. He returned borrowed items only after receiving his own. He declined favors when they were unfair. He stopped laughing at insults. He spoke more slowly. He used fewer words. Invisible changes mattered more. He stopped rehearsing explanations in his mind. Not completely, but less. He stopped checking every face for approval. Not completely, but less. He stopped feeling responsible for every uncomfortable silence. Not completely, but less. That was the real shape of growth. Not perfection, less slavery. One morning, the woman who had once called him kind in that harmless way saw him at the market. Her name was Helena. She sold dyed cloth near the central fountain. Darius had admired her for months, and because he admired her, he had become especially foolish around her. He had carried bundles she did not ask him to carry, bought cloth he did not need, agreed with opinions he did not share, smiled when she forgot promises, praised everything, asked for nothing. He had called it affection. It had been performance. That morning, Helena asked if he could help move several heavy crates after work. Darius was about to say yes. Then he paused. "I cannot today." Her eyebrows lifted. "You always help." "I know," Darius said. "Today I cannot." She looked at him carefully. "You are different." He felt the old urge to explain. Lucius's stone returned to his mind. A boundary does not need to shout to be solid. So Darius said, "I am trying to be more honest." That was all. Helena did not smile right away. Then she nodded. "I see." Darius walked away with his heart beating hard. Later, he realized something strange. He had wanted her respect, but he had finally acted like a man who respected himself. That mattered more. A week later, she approached him again. Not with a request, with a question. "Would you walk with me after the market closes?" In the past, Darius would have felt victorious, as if restraint had earned him a prize. But he had changed enough to see the danger in that thought. Self-respect is not a trick to win people. It is a way to stop losing yourself. So he said yes calmly. And when they walked, he did not perform. He did not agree with everything. He did not fill every silence. He did not advertise his kindness. He spoke honestly. Helena listened. Whether she would remain in his life, he did not know. But for the first time, he did not feel like a beggar outside the door of her approval. Meanwhile, Cashin's trouble grew. His error was discovered. He was punished, though not ruined. For several days, he glared at Darius. Then one evening, as Darius gathered his things, Cashin stood near the doorway. "You could have helped me," he said. Darius tied his scroll case. "I offered to help you correct it honestly." Cashin looked away. "You made me look weak." "No," Darius said. "The lie did that." Cashin's jaw tightened. In the past, Darius would have softened the sentence. Now he allowed it to stand. A long silence passed. Then Cashin said something unexpected. "You are harder to move now." Darius looked at him. Cashin did not say it warmly, but he did not say it mockingly either. It was not friendship. It was not praise. But it was something closer to respect than anything Cashin had given him before. Darius did not smile. He simply nodded and left. At the portico, Lucius was watching the evening clouds gather over the city. Darius told him what Cashin had said. "Harder to move," Lucius repeated. "That is not a bad beginning." Darius sat beside him. "Is that respect?" "Perhaps. But do not become addicted to that either." Darius looked confused. "You wanted respect because you lacked self-respect," Lucius said. "Now that others may begin to respect you, do not hand them the keys again. Their respect is pleasant. Your virtue is necessary. Do you see the difference?" Darius nodded slowly. "I think so." Lucius looked at him. "If people respect you, continue. If they do not, continue. If they praise you, continue. If they misunderstand you, continue. The aim is not to be admired. The aim is to be governed from within. That became the deepest teaching. Darius had started the journey wanting people to treat him differently. But the greater change was that he no longer wanted to be controlled by how they treated him. Respect from others became less urgent once he stopped disrespecting himself. It did not mean he enjoyed insults. It did not mean rejection felt good. It did not mean he became untouchable. He was still human, but he no longer built his whole identity from borrowed opinions. One evening, months later, a young clerk at the office came to him after being mocked by the same group near the fountain. The young man was angry and embarrassed. "They laughed at me," he said. "I wanted to answer, but I did not know what to say." Darius saw his younger self in the boy's face. The hunger to be respected, the fear of being small, the desperate wish to say something that would make fools bow. Darius asked, "Were they right?" "No." "Then why are you asking fools to confirm what you already know?" The young man stared. Darius almost smiled. He sounded like Lucius now. "So I should say nothing." "Sometimes," Darius said. "Sometimes you answer with words. Sometimes with action. Sometimes with silence. But never let an insult choose your master for you." The boy looked down. "I do not want people to think I am weak." "Then do not become weak trying to convince them." That sentence stayed in the air between them. It was the sentence Darius himself had needed years before. Do not become weak trying to convince people you are strong. That night Darius visited the portico, but Lucius was not there. He had been coming less often. Age had slowed his walk. Cold weather troubled his chest. Darius found him the next morning, seated with a heavy cloak around his shoulders. "You are late," Lucius said. Darius smiled. "I did not know we had an appointment." "We always have an appointment with our character." Darius sat. For once, he did not bring a problem. Lucius noticed. "Nothing to complain about." "Many things," Darius said, "but fewer that own me." Lucius looked pleased, though he tried to hide it. "Then you have learned something." Darius watched the city wake. Merchants opened stalls. Children chased each other between columns. A soldier argued with a baker. Life continued in all its noise. Darius asked, "Do you think people respect me now?" Lucius gave him a sideways glance, still asking the old question. Darius lowered his eyes. "Maybe." Lucius's voice softened. "Some do. Some do not. Some never will. That is the world." "Then what should I ask?" "Ask whether you respect the man you are becoming." Darius was silent. That question was heavier, less dramatic, more difficult to escape. Lucius continued. "At the end of each day, when the door is closed and the crowd is gone, you are left with yourself. Not Cassian, not Helena, not the clerks, not the men at the fountain. Yourself. If that man is false, the applause of others will not save him. If that man is upright, the contempt of others cannot destroy him." Darius felt the words settle deeply. Lucius stood slowly. He placed the same small stone from weeks before into Darius's hand. "Keep it," he said. "To remember what? That a boundary does not need permission to exist." Darius closed his fingers around it. The old man began to walk away. Darius called after him, "Lucius." The old man turned. "Thank you." Lucius nodded. "Do not thank me too much." Gratitude can become another performance if a man is not careful. Darius laughed. A real laugh this time. Not one used to make others comfortable. Weeks passed. Then months. Darius still had difficult days. This matters because no true story of growth should pretend the old self disappears forever. Sometimes he still overexplained. Sometimes he still wanted approval. Sometimes he still felt guilty after saying no. Sometimes the old hunger returned when someone disapproved. But now he recognized it. And what you can recognize, you can begin to govern. He would touch the stone in his pouch and remember. Not every discomfort is danger. Not every accusation deserves a defense. Not every request deserves a yes. Not every silence needs to be filled. Not every person deserves access. Not every opinion is a command. His life became smaller in some ways. Fewer people came to him for easy favors. Fewer people joked at his expense because he no longer helped them enjoy it. Fewer people mistook his kindness for availability. But his life became larger in the ways that mattered. He had more time, more calm, more honesty, more strength in his own voice, more room for people who did not require him to shrink. And most of all, he had the quiet pleasure of not betraying himself as often. One evening, Darius walked past the fountain where the young men used to mock him. They were there again. One of them started to speak, then stopped. Another looked at him but said nothing. Darius did not feel triumphant. He did not need them to bow. He did not need revenge. He did not need a speech. He simply kept walking. That was the victory. Not that they had changed, but that he had. At the far end of the square, he saw a boy carrying too many bundles while an older merchant shouted at him. The boy apologized again and again, though the mistake was clearly not his. Darius saw the posture, the lowered head, the nervous smile, the fear of displeasing someone who had already decided to be displeased. He walked over. The merchant snapped, "What do you want?" Darius looked at the boy, then at the merchant. He said, "Speak to him with respect." The merchant blinked. "Excuse me." Darius did not raise his voice. "Speak to him with respect." The square seemed to quiet around them. The merchant muttered something and turned away. The boy looked at Darius with wide eyes. Darius did not give a lecture. He simply handed him one bundle that had fallen and said, "Do not apologize for another man's anger." Then he walked on. That was when Darius understood something. Self-respect does not make you less kind. It makes your kindness cleaner. Less fear, less begging, less resentment, more truth, more courage, more justice. A person who respects himself can protect others without needing to be praised for it. A person who does not respect himself often helps others only because he is terrified of rejection. The difference is invisible at first. Then it becomes a whole life. So what does this story ask of you? Not to become cold. Not to become rude. Not to treat people badly before they can treat you badly. That is not strength. That is fear wearing armor. This story asks something harder. Be kind without being available for disrespect. Be helpful without becoming owned. Be patient without abandoning yourself. Be humble without making yourself small. Be peaceful without being a coward. Speak once when truth is needed. Then let your words stand. Say no when no is honest. Then survive the discomfort. Stop laughing at insults just to keep a room comfortable. Stop apologizing for having a boundary. Stop making your life a public service for people who would not protect your peace. Stop explaining yourself to those who benefit from misunderstanding you. And above all, stop trying to be respected by people while disrespecting yourself in the process. That is the hidden contradiction. You want them to see your worth, but you keep negotiating it. You want them to honor your time, but you keep giving it away without measure. You want them to respect your no, but you keep turning it into yes. You want them to treat you as valuable, but you keep acting as if being chosen matters more than being whole. This is why the more some people try, the less they are respected. Not because effort is bad. Effort is noble when it serves virtue. But effort used to purchase approval becomes a chain. And people can hear chains, even when you call them kindness. If this story showed you a part of yourself, comment self-respect. Or comment boundary, if that is the thing you know you need to practice. Your comment may help someone else realize they are not alone in learning how to stop overgiving. And if you want more Stoic stories about discipline, silence, self-control, relationships, and inner strength, subscribe to Stoic Echoes. But do not just listen to the story. Use it. The next time you feel the old urge to overexplain, pause. The next time your no begins turning into yes from fear, pause. The next time someone mocks you and your mouth prepares a nervous laugh, pause. The next time you want to be liked so badly that you begin to disappear, pause. Ask yourself the question Lucius gave Darius without saying it directly. Am I buying their approval with my peace? If the answer is yes, stop paying. Stand still. Speak clearly. Use fewer words. Let people be disappointed. Let fools misunderstand. Let users be inconvenienced. Let the room become quiet. You may feel guilty at first. You may feel afraid. You may feel like you are doing something wrong. But remember, sometimes guilt is only the sound of an old habit losing power. And on the other side of that guilt is a different life. A life where your kindness has a spine. A life where your silence has dignity. A life where your yes is honest because your no is allowed. A life where respect is not begged for, performed for, or purchased with pieces of yourself. A life where you can sit alone at the end of the day and respect the person you did not betray. That is worth more than being liked by everyone. That is worth more than applause. That is worth more than the approval of people who only valued you when you were easy to use. The more Darius tried, the less they respected him. But the moment he stopped trying to earn respect by abandoning himself, something changed. Not everyone liked him. Not everyone understood him. Not everyone stayed. But for the first time, he could walk through the city without feeling like his soul was for sale. And that is where real respect begins.